Hi guys, and welcome back to Journey2Med. If you are new here, my name is Hazal and I'm a first year medic studying at Barts in London. And if you are not new here, thank you so much for tuning into another video. Today's video is going to be an advice video for all my year 12 students. So for all the students going from year 11 to year 12, this video is for you. On our Instagram story, we asked if there were any tips or advice that year 12 students would want to know. So I'm going to be answering those questions today. So make sure you guys sit back, relax, get a notebook and pen, and let's get started with the video. So the first question was, what would you have done differently? This is such a big question. Well, I think in year 12 I didn't really know how I was revising at the start. I was kind of lost and I didn't really understand what I had to do to revise for my different types of subjects. So I think if I could go back, I'll try to maybe be more proactive and ask students in the years above that were doing the subjects that I did on how they revised. At the start of year 12, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just started my A-levels, just finished my GCSEs, and I kind of was trying to get used to the transition, and that's why I didn't pay much attention to how to actually revise the subjects I was doing, and that's why I'll try to put a bit more effort into that. And secondly, obviously I did further maths, and at the start of year 12 I had the option to drop it. If I could go back, I probably would drop it. I don't regret doing it because I got a good score and I'm happy with it. However, it was a lot of stress on me because I had to do so much in year 12 and in year 13 as I was doing 4 full A-levels. So I think if I could go back to make my life easier, I would drop further maths. Yeah. The next question is, when do you start BMAT or UCAT prep? Okay, cool. So for this, I started UCAT prep at the end of year 12, so just after I had finished my year 12 mocks, and this was around mid-June, I believe. Yes, and then I gave myself 6 weeks to prepare and took my UCAT at the end of August. So I think that was enough time to prepare. I think that was a good time to start, good time to take my exam. All good. Now when it comes to the BMAT, I'm not a serious candidate with the BMAT. I'm not a good person to come to if you have questions about the BMAT because I completely flopped the preparation aspect of it. I didn't think about it well. I didn't plan it as well as I should have. I only gave myself 2 weeks to prepare, which in no circumstance is going to be enough time to prepare for a university admissions test. So definitely don't do what I did. But I took the later setting, so I think it was, the later sitting, so I think it was November 1st, and the last week of October I had mocks, so you can already imagine how that went. I had to prepare for my mocks, I had to prepare for the BMAT, but if I could go back, I'll definitely start preparing as soon as I was done with the UCAT, or maybe give myself 1 week break and then start slowly preparing for my BMAT, just so that I don't have to cram all my revision and all my preparation into 2 weeks, which is, like I said, in no circumstance enough time. So yeah, don't do what I did. Next question is how to stay organised with A-levels. So how to organise your notes, how to organise your folders. Okay, cool. So what I did with this is I had one folder for each of my AS topics, so one for biology, one for chemistry, one for maths, and one for further maths. And then at the start I would have a contents page, so topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, all of that. And then within each topic I would have one plastic wallet for my notes, one plastic wallet for any questions or practice I had done for that specific topic, and then another plastic wallet for mind maps or flashcards that I had made for that specific topic. At the back of the folder I would have a section for all my exam papers, just so they were all in one place and I knew where to find them if I had to go find them. This kind of links with another question I got, which was, how many folders do I really need? So I think you need 1 folder per AS topic. So in total I had 8 folders, because 4 for the AS side of, 4 for year 12 and 4 for year 13 basically. Yeah, that's my advice. But I think get 4 folders at the start, or get 1 folder for each of your A-level subjects at the start of year 12, and then if you need another folder for that specific subject in year 13, then go buy a new one. I don't think you should buy 6 from the get-go or 8 from the get-go, just because you might not have as many notes as I had, or you might not have as many past paper questions as I had, so you might be able to fit all of your one A-level into 1 folder. So it depends. Just start off with 1 per A-level subject in year 12. Next question, How did you find the jump between GCSE to A-level? Oof. I think the first few topics of maths, biology and chemistry A-level aren't that difficult. For example, it's biological molecules. The first topic of maths is basically GCSE stuff, and I can't remember the first topic of chemistry, but it's something that's building on my GCSE knowledge basically. And that's why at the start it wasn't too difficult to get used to, because I was learning the content that I kind of already knew, and I was just building on knowledge I already had. But then a few topics deep, it starts getting quite hard, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, this really isn't easy. And I think this was around maybe like November, October time, and I was like, okay, A-levels are really no joke. And that's when I realised that the jump is quite big, but it's not like impossible to do. Everyone does it that goes from GCSE to A-level, so it's definitely not impossible, but it's not easy either. The jump isn't small, but that doesn't mean that you can't make that jump and you can't go on to the next stage. But yeah, I think the best way to prepare is make sure that your GCSE knowledge for the A-levels you're taking is solid. I know you have a big summer holiday where you're probably going to forget everything like I did, so maybe before you start your A-levels, try and just look over your GCSE topics. Like for example, if you're doing biology, chemistry, maths, look over your GCSE topics for biology, chemistry and maths, and make sure that you do actually understand it, because if you don't, A-levels, when you're building on that knowledge, it is going to be a bit more difficult. Next question, which I actually got quite a few of these, was do I need a laptop for sixth form? Now, I had to think about this because my go-to answer was going to be yes, but then I thought about it, and the only time I really needed a laptop is when I was doing like past papers and research and all of that. And so if you had a tablet, you could still do that. That's why it's not essential to have a laptop, because you don't really need to do like essay writing. Oh, unless you're doing an essay subject. I didn't even think about that. If you're doing an essay subject, the answer might be different, but for me it's not essential. But I think having a laptop is definitely a good thing, because like with past papers and all your research that you need to do and all the practice questions you want to do throughout the year, it's easier to access them on a laptop than, for example, having to go to a library to access them. So definitely, if you could, like if you can afford a laptop, I would say buy one. It makes your life easier. It's nice to have somewhere to go to where you need to do research or you need to like do proper work rather than just going to your phone. But at the same time, if you can't, it's not essential. Like I said, you can go use the libraries in your area. You can go to your school computers. So yeah. Next is, would it be better to start with 3 or 4 A-levels? Okay, so I did 4 A-levels. And in my school, everyone had to do 4 A-levels at the start, and then you had the option to drop 1 A-level. So then you continued with 3 A-levels. I did 4 A-levels throughout, and it's made life difficult for me, I'm not gonna lie, because like I said, 4 A-levels just aren't easy, and especially when you're applying for medicine, you need to prepare for the UCAT, BMAT, interviews, personal statement, all of that. It's so much to manage at the same time. So if I could go back, I would do 4 A-levels and then drop 1. But if you feel like you can handle it and you've got 4 subjects that you're really passionate about, then do consider it. However, do also consider the fact that universities only want 3 A-levels. The requirements to get into university, like they only need 3, you don't need 4 A-levels. And think about if it's going to be better for you to do 3 A-levels and make sure you can focus on those 3 and get really good grades in those 3, rather than doing 4 and potentially causing another subject to suffer and getting a low grade in another subject because you are doing 4 A-levels instead of 3. So definitely consider the pros and the cons. But me personally, I think doing 3 A-levels is always better than doing 4 A-levels, unless there's a specific reason why you want to do 4 A-levels. I can't think of a reason, but there might be reasons. So yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, next question is, what do you do if you don't have good teachers in 6th form, or the teaching standards at your school are not the best and you feel like you're not getting enough support for your A-levels? this is really tricky because you can't really change your teachers. You can't go to your head teacher and be like, I don't like my teacher, and the new teacher. So this is about taking matters into your own hand, basically. And I didn't go through this. I was fortunate enough to have good support at sixth form, but my best advice for those of you that are going through this would be to potentially consider getting a tutor. And this is where we'll go into talking about the sponsor of this video, which is Strive on Site. Strive on Site is an online tutoring company that provides online teaching for both GCSE and A-level students. The aim of Strive on Site is to help as many students achieve the best grades possible, especially during this pandemic situation where a lot of schools shut down and a lot of students face difficulties with their studies. They are a tutoring company taught by medical students and graduates with years of experience, and they offer tutoring in maths, biology, chemistry and physics. They have two possible tutoring options. One is group teaching, where it will be you and two other students learning the same thing, or the other option is one-to-one teaching. All their sessions are 1.5 hours, unlike the regular 1 hour lessons, and this means that you're able to get the most out of your sessions and do exam practice in all your lessons. Their lessons are really interactive and also really affordable, and they've helped many students achieve top grades. So if you are interested in getting a tutor from Strive on Site, make sure you guys check the link in our description and go check out their website. Next question is, how many hours a day did you spend revising? Okay, first of all, I feel like I just need to break the myth of people thinking you need to revise 5 hours a day every single day from September all the way to July to make sure that you get the best grades, and that is not the truth. That is simply not true. However, what I did was at the start of year 12, so maybe from September to December, all I really did was ensure that I'm on top of all my work. So that meant that I was going through all my class notes, and I was also doing practice questions on the topics I had learned and making sure that I prepare thoroughly for my end of topic tests. But apart from that, I wasn't really doing any outside revision for my topics. I was just ensuring that I was doing all my homework and keeping on top of all my work. And that can take different amount of hours depending on what subjects you're doing, but that's basically what I did. And then from December to, I guess, exam season, which was June, which is when I had my year 12 marks. This is when I did up my revision, and I increased it the more and more I got closer to my year 12 marks. However, I realized in like January time that I didn't have really good revision notes for the topics I had covered from September to December. So this is when I made majority of my notes for those topics from September to December, and this was good because it was almost like active recall, because I was making notes, which I was obviously benefiting from, but I was also going over the topics that I hadn't seen in potentially 4 months, which was also good for me. So that's what I did in like January, February time, even March maybe. And of course I was also making the similar type of revision notes for the topics I had then covered at the start of the year as well, so like January, February as well. And then when I started proper revision for my end of year mocks, which was maybe in like April, that's when I was spending like solid amount of hours, maybe in a library or at school doing revision. So maybe like 5 or 6 hours, so like from 9 to 3 or 9 to 4 if I was going to the library, just because it's important to up your revision the closer you get to your exams, because this is when you're going to have the most intense period of studying and going through all your notes, going through all your past papers and doing new past papers. So that's how I would suggest planning your revision. Start off a year by just making sure you're on top of your work and you're making your correct revision notes, and then towards the end of the year start doing past papers, start doing intense revision for your mocks. Next question, which is actually quite relevant to the current period we are in, was what prep should I do since I haven't been in school for 6 months? Okay, this is quite difficult because this is a situation that none of us could have expected, and obviously it's a situation I haven't been through. However, my best type of advice for this would be just make sure that the knowledge you were supposed to cover during lockdown, you actually have covered. That would be my best type of advice. If you are sent homework from school, make sure you actually do cover that homework. If you had to do this assignment or you had to cover this topic by yourself, make sure you have actually covered that topic, just to make sure that when you go back to school, you aren't behind or you aren't disadvantaged because you haven't done the work that you are supposed to do. Another question I got was, should I learn all of the content in advance? And I would 100% not recommend this. There's a difference between going into lessons with a bit of an understanding of what you're learning that day, rather than actually learning all of it by yourself, because it's probably going to be difficult to learn it all by yourself. A-levels aren't easy, and it's always useful to have that teacher there to explain stuff to you where you don't understand it. So you want to make sure that you are getting a correct understanding on all of the topics and you aren't misunderstanding anything because you decided to learn it by yourself. So I would definitely say, if you have time and if you can, do look ahead on some of the earlier topics and get a bit of an understanding, but don't try and attempt to learn all of the content yourself. Leave that to your teacher to teach it to you. Someone said, people say negative things about moving to a grammar school. Is it worth it? So for those of you that don't know, I was going to a state school for secondary school, and then I moved to a grammar school for sixth form, and overall it did benefit me. The resources available at a grammar school are a lot better than they were at my secondary school, and I know I got a lot more support with my medical application at the grammar school than I would have at my secondary school. This might not be the case for everyone, but this was definitely the case for me, and that's why, even though the transition was a bit hard and going to a new school always isn't easy, but I think overall it did benefit me. So if you have the option and if you can, do consider the differences between the support you'll get in your secondary school and the support you'll get in your sixth form, and then make that decision according to that. Is it crucial to pre-read the info before the lesson? This kind of touched on the last question I had, but it's definitely not crucial. I didn't pre-read before any of my lessons. Like literally none of them. Oh, the idea was that I was going to, but realistically I just didn't have the time, so I didn't, and I don't think it's crucial, but if you can and if you want to, go ahead. Yeah. Do AS level exams matter, and should I revise for them? Yes, they 100% matter. That's what majority of schools will use to base your UCAS predictions off of. So please revise for your AS level exams, and just in general, I would say revise for all of your tests and all of your exams, whether that be end of topic tests or AS level exams or your actual A levels, just because the more revision you do, it just makes your life easier for when it comes to those end of your examinations. So why wouldn't you just want to make sure that what you are learning is actually going into your head and that you are actually doing well? Why would you waste that opportunity to test the knowledge you have learned? I think preparing and revising properly for my end of topic test was one of the reasons that I was able to do well in my A levels, just because it meant that I wasn't leaving all of my revision to the end of the year. I was doing revision throughout the year, and it made my revision easier when it came to those end of year exams, and that's why I think I did well, and that's why I would recommend everyone to do the same. Next question was how to balance a social life and work. This does kind of apply to everyone, no matter what stage of education you are in, but I'll answer it anyway. The way I try to balance it, I haven't always been able to balance it, and I definitely think during my A levels I didn't balance it well. Education was all I basically did, and that's not needed to get good grades. I think what I would say is, to ensure you have a balance, you need to ensure that you have a plan about the work you want to do and you get it done. So for example, let's say on Monday after school, I say I'm going to revise a bit of chemistry and a bit of biology. And then if I do that, that means that I wouldn't have to do that on Saturday, so that on Saturday I can potentially go out and eat with my friends. So for me, the best way to have a good work-life balance is to schedule your work in and timetable when you're going to do work and actually do it. Of course, if you don't do it, you're going to have to move that work to another day, for example, a Saturday, and that's why you might not be able to go out to see your friends on a Saturday. But if you do have that balance and you have that discipline and you actually get your work done, then there's no reason why you should be working 24 hours a day, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to go out and have a social life with your friends. Last question was, this made me laugh, I don't know why, but someone just asked, is it hard? just blatantly, is it hard? Is year 12 hard? Compared to year 13, year 12 isn't hard. But compared to year 11, year 12 is harder. So, but that makes sense because the English is definitely not my first language. But that makes sense because from year 11 to year 12, you're going to learn harder content. So it's going to be harder. And then from year 12 to year 13, again, you're learning harder content. So it's going to be harder. But just because it's hard doesn't mean you can't do it. That's like my go-to thing to say. But think about it. Think about the amount of students that do A-levels in the UK, like hundreds of thousands, right? So if they can all do it, why can't you? This is not like a comparison thing, but it's just thinking all the students that have come before me were able to do the jump between year 11 to year 12 and were able to go through year 12 successfully. So why can't I also? It's just about making sure that you acknowledge the fact that there's going to be a difference in the amount of work you need to do. Be a bit more dedicated, be a bit more hardworking, be a bit more organised. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do well in year 12. And just making sure that you don't let your work slip. I've seen so many students go into year 12 and you know, take liberty of the freedom they get in year 12, because you know you have free periods and maybe you get to go out of school for lunch, and they kind of let their work slip. Please don't be those type of students, because once you let your work slip, it's so hard to get back on track when you're also trying to learn new content. So imagine thinking, I'm not going to do any work in year 12 because year 12 doesn't matter, and then it comes to February and you realize, oh no, I need to know this content for my end of year exams. So then you're trying to go over the content that you've learned in the last 6 months, trying to make notes for those whilst also learning new content at school. Do you see how it just makes your life so difficult? So if you can, please stay on top of your work and you will be good. Like, you will be fine. I didn't, you know, crash. I've made it through year 12. Millions of people have made it through year 12. So you can too. And it's all about, you know, hard work, dedication, time management, organisation, but also having fun when you can. Great. I think that's a great note to wrap this whole video up on. It's been a bit of a long one, it's been a bit of a rambly one, but I do really hope that I was able to give you guys some tips and advice that have helped you out. Again, I would like to thank the sponsors of this video, which was Strive On Site, and if you do want to check out their website, it will be the top link in the description box. But yeah, thank you English. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, of course, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you're looking forward to most when going into year 12, and also leave down below any questions that I haven't answered and I'll make sure to get back to you guys. And on that note, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in a new video next week. Bye.